If you're not getting sales right now, it's not that you need to be posting more. You need stories that create conversations inside of your DMs. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I take people from stories into DMs and convert them into clients. Now, before we get started, my name is Elizabeth Graham and I'm an alignment business coach for service-based pros. Since 2023, I have helped over a dozen women confidently sell inside of the DMs without feeling salesy or awkward. Now, if that's you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you hit the notification bell in order to get notified every single time I have a new video. Now, for context, let me share with you that I have signed 12 clients in a year. Now, that didn't happen overnight. So please don't think that. That did not happen overnight. But I have signed 12 clients in a year. And I did not have sales calls with those. Every single one of those came through DMs. And the biggest way that this was possible was through stories. All of my stories created leads, which then created conversations, and then it created clients. Let me take you back to August 2024 when I got my first client where everything changed. But actually before there, let's go a little bit further. Till March 2024, when I finally came back after a 3-month hiatus, after researching, doing market research, and really intentionally learning my clients and my dream clients. I took some time and spent 3 months researching, did not post, did not talk about anything, and just really went fully ham on understanding and building those questions for my clients so I can build an offer for them. Now, if you want to learn about how I do that and how I take those conversations and start DMs that way, go ahead and click this video and you can see my last week's video on how I did that. So in March 2024, my husband deployed and he was going to be gone for 8 months. So I had 3 children that I was homeschooling. Literally, I was still working part-time and my husband wasn't there. So I was solo parenting. So I had to really figure out while doing how I was going to even be able to have a business. So in March, I started really simplifying my business and realized that if I wanted to make sales, I had to do one thing and get really good at it. I had to start conversations with people and I had to connect with them and I had to understand them. I had to get really good at DMs because if you think about it, discovery calls take about an hour and my kids are homeschooled, so they're always home. And I was like, I didn't have that village. I was the village or I had to pay for that village. And so to pay for someone just to sit with my kids to keep them quiet while I was in a possible sale call, quote unquote possible, was not something I was willing to do. And so everything had to be in the DMs, even if it was a voice note and my kids were screaming in the background, it had to all be in the DMs. And so I had to get really good at that. And I spent almost all my time engaging with my audience, whether it was through their stories, whether it was through their threads, whether it was inside of their Instagram posts. I had to make sure I was talking to them. And I spent almost all of my time doing that. So I got really good at understanding how I can take somebody from a story into a DM. So I started getting stories that were creating these stories were creating there's a word I'm trying to think of. Those stories were creating not urgency, but dripping, giving them information. I can't think of the word. Oh my God, for the life of me, I can't think of that word. It was creating, hopefully after I edit this, I can figure that out. But it was creating some kind of enticing. I don't know. We'll pretend eventually, you know the word I'm talking about, right? It's creating, oh God, forget it. I don't know what the word is. It was basically not creating FOMO, but it was showing them and they were showing interest because they were seeing my stories. They were seeing how I was doing things. They were seeing that I was I took people through a journey of solo parenting. That's the thing that really enticed them the most. They were like, wow, this girl is all by herself raising these 3 kids while her husband is deployed overseas. And I was sharing the conversations I was having with people. And I was sharing that I was having a ton of conversations. And because I was doing that, I started to grab that momentum. Now, most people would stop because think about it. August was when I got my client. March is when I started the conversations. Do the math. That's 5 months that I didn't make a sale. Most people would quit after 2 months. So I had to keep going because I was like, I'm going to make this work. And I knew that I was on the right track when in August, I got my first client. And I was like, I am on the right track. And it was August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. It was back to back to back to back to back. Every month, back to back to a new client every single month. Boom, 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 boom. So I was like, I knew that was the thing that was going to create the momentum. And I had to teach that to my people. So we burn the script over here. It's not about a perfect line that you're going to pitch to somebody. It's about sharing your intention, sharing your journey, and bringing people along that journey and being your true self, because no script can really portray who you really are. It's only you who can show the real passion you have for your offer when you truly believe in it. And inside of the DMs, we ask the right questions. Scripts can give you so far, and I can give you questions, but it's how you share those questions that matter and how you execute it. It's all about execution and sharing it with a passionate heart that has that, like, I want to know about you and I want to know what you're struggling with. Now, I'm not going to teach you the whole, like, how I start a conversation, how the fire method works that I have. I have that in my last video. There you can learn in my last video how the process works and how I ask the right questions to start a conversation so I don't feel like salesy or awkward. Now, today I'm going to share with you the way that I take people through that process. And the same way I showed last week, the fire method, I'm going to share with you the market research, the story selling sequence, and the offer stories. So there are 3 types of stories that really you want to take people through when it comes to going from conversation to client. And it's kind of like how I shared last week, my flame method, but only this time I'm going to show you market research, the selling sequence, and your offer story. Those 3 things, it's what's going to take the conversation and it's going to create momentum with your conversations. Now, let's talk about the first one, which is your market research. Market research should only be 1 question a day. Now, you could have multiple in a full story, but I'm just going to teach you 3 because I believe in simplicity. I don't know if you're in a season where you're busy. I don't know if you homeschool. I don't know if you go to school. I don't know if you have another job. So I'm just going to assume that you're busy because everybody is. So I'm going to assume that we're only going to be doing 1 question. So with market research, we're going to just ask 1 question. We're going to ask 1 question, and every reply, every engagement is a lead. These are people who are invested in you. These are people that want to know about you. These are people that are curious of what you're doing. So these are people that you're going to build connection. Now, again, like I told you last week, and if you didn't see it, we do not cold pitch. We do not sell. We are in the DMs because we want to get to know people and we want to get to know what it is that they struggle with. So inside of your market research, when you're doing it in stories, you can ask 1 question and have follow-up questions afterwards, but you always want to have a follow-up question. You want to have a question in the beginning, like 1 question, like you want to ask a question. You can do that by doing a poll. You can ask a question like asking a poll like what's the biggest thing, the hardest thing for you? And if you know your target audience, you know what they're struggling with, you can make all 3 be something you solve, but the biggest one is the one that you're going to like talk about the most. And you're going to see like, oh, this is what my people struggle with the most. You can also do a fill in the blank. Like, you know how in Instagram stories, it allows you to have like a prompt, like a way to ask me anything. You can do something like the hardest part about blank is blank. You know, you can say like the hardest part about getting clients is the conversations. The hardest part about getting clients is the execution. You know, whatever they say, those are things that you can use for market research. Words, I said last week, words you can use in your message, in your content, copy, offer, whatever. You can do an A-B type of thing. What do you want me to talk about the most here, A or B? But one of my favorites is the tap here. Like tap here if you're struggling with this right now. Tap here if you struggle with, you know, getting clients or selling on your website, whatever. That's one of the things that for me, I like is like tap here. Now, I will have people that tapped and then they're like, I just tapped for like engagement. I just tapped, you know, by accident. For me, that's kind of funny. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, okay, can I ask you a question? Like, hey, do you mind if I ask you like a quick question? You know, I use that as an opportunity to really see if it was an accident or not. Now, it could have been an accident, but you know, the conversation just started. You are starting conversations. That is the whole point of all DMs, is just to start a conversation with these people. Even if it is an accident, it's like, oh my God, me too. I like completely will hit something and it's by accident. But I do have a quick question for you. If you don't mind, I'm doing some like market research and I wanted to know if blank, 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 blank. Ask the question. It's all about being intentional and like kind of asking the questions with the assumption that it wasn't an accident. Another one you can do is swipe right. If you know how you can swipe right and stuff, you can do. These are all engagement and it really does help with your stories. That's why I'm like, oh, you need your first one to be something engaging. Like every single post. And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, flat out. One reason I did this is I think her name is Shannon McKinstry. I'm going to like I'll put her handle down here. I don't mind. She's like a big time social media marketer and she's really good at what she does. The first one, she says your first story should always be an engaging story because people only look at 3 stories. And I was like, this girl knows what she's talking about because hello, I sometimes fall off after 3. And if it's engaging, I'm like, boom, 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 and I'm done, and I move on. But it also depends on your clients, your dream clients, your target audience. If your target audience lives online, they might watch all of them, but you know them. I don't. And if you don't know them, you need to research them and find out. You can even ask like, hey, how many like stories do you actually watch? 1, 3, 10, 20, whatever. Ask it in a poll. It's engaging and it's market research. And you can also like have a picture of yourself and say a little blurb of like what you offer and then be like, reply below if you struggle with or reply below with one thing you're struggling right now to get clients or to have a strategy as a mom or to create, graphics, whatever it is. Something like that would honestly draw more conversations. Because remember, you need to get comfortable in the DMs. The goal is for you to get comfortable in those DMs. And the reason why you feel salesy is because you're forcing something that you probably don't believe in, or that muscle, that sales muscle hasn't been fully trained. And the good thing is that that's what I teach inside of my membership is just kind of training that muscle, selling in the stories and things like that. So I do have some information below for you to learn more about my membership. But if you're struggling with your target audience and you don't know like who you're talking to and everything feels forced, I also have a free 5-day challenge below for you to look into, for you to start knowing who it is that you target, who is your target audience. Now, I do treat everybody that is involved, does any kind of voting, any kind of like connecting, does anything, I do treat them as a lead. Again, I'm not going for the sale. I'm using them as a lead to just get information because you are not for everybody. Let's say that together. Ready? I am not for everybody. One more time. I am not for everybody. That is something that you should understand. Just because somebody taps right, taps left, and engages doesn't mean they are a client for you. They are somebody who can give you market research because if they already make 6 figures and they are supporting you and you find that out and you're trying to pitch somebody, they're like, does she not know that I'm very successful and I don't need help with this website? Or does she not know that I also create websites? You just got to think like that sometimes when you're creating like this type of stuff and you're connecting with people in the DMs is don't assume everyone's a lead. I don't know who ever said that, but that's not true. You're not for everybody. And that's okay. So when you're following up with somebody after they've engaged with you, just ask them like, what have you tried so far? What would solving this problem look like for you? That type of conversation can build up your confidence and you'll get more comfortable in connecting with people. Now, here's the second one, which is a selling sequence. When you're doing story selling, you could do about 3 to 5. I wouldn't do no more than 5. I've done 10. I don't recommend it, but I've done 10. Like if I have a spiel that I want to say, I will do 10 slides. If I'm like, I need to get my point across, like I really want to sell something, like I really want to tell them, I know this can help them. I do make it a point to like do about 3 to 5. Now you could do 1, if you're really good at condensing everything into 1 slide, you can do just a video of you talking for like a minute, but do something that is selling. You need to sell. You need to sell every day. Let me tell you that again. Like you need to sell every single day. There's no doubt about it that I know you're like, I don't want to come off as always like spamming. I've had to deal with that. I've had to overcome that. And you know how I overcame it is I just did it. I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be spamming y'all. It's mine. It's my Instagram. If I want to spam you and you don't want to see it, don't go see it. The people pleasing side of me was not happy about that, but I had to overcome that. I'm still working on that. Every day I have to like take a deep breath and be like, people pleasing. Don't do it. Just do what this is your business. Post your stories. If people don't want to see 3 to 5 stories, they don't have to see them, but you need to sell every day. This isn't a hobby. You're selling. You want to sell without over explaining to people. Like you don't want to over explain. Like you want to get to one point as quick as possible because people don't have all the time in the world nowadays. And their like attention span is so small that you got to catch them right away. That's just the way it is. So I would do a talking head, B-roll, or a graphic in your story to get your point across without like over explaining it. And here's 5 things that you want in your stories when it comes to selling. 1, you want to talk about the problem. What are they struggling with? Like if you struggle with blah, 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 this is for you. Like if you're like, I used to struggle with selling in the DMs until I started doing this. That's the problem. 2, reframe it. So for me, it's like we're going to burn the script. This is what we're doing now. Reframing the thought, reframing the way it's done, reframing everything. 3, give them a small taste, a microchip, the what and the why. They pay for the how. I still believe in that. I used to be like, what? Nope. What and the why. So you're going to give them a micro tip, a small little tip, like, give them something they can take action on right now. 4, you want to give a proof. You want to give like proof of like either it's something that happened with you, how you got to win, a client got to win, something. Give them some sort of proof. And 5 is you need a call to action. Swipe here, tap here, link here, reply here. You need something. And trust me, I'm getting better at these two. Like this is what I did and I fell off for a little bit because I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes stories be storing, like it can get overwhelming. But I'll tell you what, when you want clients, this is how you do it. This is how you get that connection. This is how you start getting those leads. And this is how you get the leads is through your stories. And then you want an offer story. The final type of story you want is an offer story. You got to ask for the sale. And that's like the last call to action. You have to ask for the sale. Like inside of here, you have to be direct. You have to sell and you have to be confident. You can even do a B-roll like, hey, my offer is going to help you with this problem. Why don't you tap here? Why don't you swipe here? Why don't you click the link? Blah, blah, blah. Something that has them take that action with your call to action. That's why it's in the fifth one in the stories is a call to action. It can be your story sequence 3 and also part of the selling sequence. It could be the offer story and then the selling sequence. They can go together, but you got to be asking for the sale. And you can even use the last CTA to talk about like who's the offer for, what does it do, what's the transformation, what is the outcome, and what do they get? With another call to action. It's okay to have multiple call to actions, people. We have a business. One could be a link, one could be a tap, one could be a tap, one could be a swipe. It doesn't matter. You have to take action. All right, we implement here. Inside of Rise to Alignment, we implement. We're going to implement here. So here is your homework for this week. I want you to post one market research story, just one. Ask a question. Just ask a simple question to get to know your audience and start those conversations, spark those conversations. 2, I want you to DM 3 people that engage and like build that connection with you through your stories. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Don't like sweat. Don't like shake. It's going to be okay. You're just asking a question. Like you can even start small and thank them. Like, thank you for, engaging in my story. That really helps me so much. And then you can ask, can I ask you a quick question? I'm doing market research, but don't be like super timid. Like stand boldly like, yo, thank you. Thank you for connecting. Like do a little, do a little like, put a little music on before you do it, like get hyphy and stuff before you do it and just ask the question. But if you don't feel like it's a little stepping stone you need to do it small. Like, hey, thank you so much for engaging in my story. I really appreciate it. That's it. They'll say, oh, you're welcome, girl. Of course. I love your stuff. I love watching you, girl. Blah, blah, blah. That's what a lot of people did for me in the beginning. I dipped my toes and then I started building my confidence with it. And then number 3, I want you to copy and paste what people say when you ask them the questions. Put it in a blueprint, make a copy mining blueprint. And if you don't know how to do that, remember, I do that. I show you that in my 5-day challenge, link below. And if you want in-depth, you want more help with reviewing everything, I do have my membership as well, link below. And once you do all of this stuff, I want you to come back here and tell me you did it and what did you learn from it? Because I would love to see what it is and how you're learning about the DMs. And next week, I'm going to show you how to take people from another platform like Threads. Threads is the best one to do this with, but from you can do it from other platforms, but from Threads, take them into your DMs and into your Instagram in order to spark that conversation with them. I'll see you next week.